afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Hot Topic Tuesday podcast. And the topic for today is on drug use, mental health, and the holidays. Hot Topic Tuesday is an online workshop series via Zoom. It is designed to engage communities in discussions on substance use and abuse prevention related topics and its relevance to current community issues. In prevention work, substance abuse is not a standalone issue. We recognize that substance misuse and abuse is a response that is woven from the complexities of life's experiences, environment, conditions, and emotions. Welcome. My name is Carol Almeda, and I am a community organizer from the Community Prevention Unit of the Asian American Drug Abuse Program, or AADAP for short. And I have with me as a co moderator my colleague, Jesica Abaya, also a community organizer from Community Prevention of AADAP. So before I introduce our resource speaker, um, may I may I say that today's topic is, uh, shall we say, very timely, very relevant. Remember that the holidays are coming, and it's not always fun. It's not always joy. It's not always happy, but we have to but the reality of it is that it can be difficult for a lot of people, and so we're going to shall we say, to address the realities of the holiday by a session such as this. And we are so fortunate to have with us our colleague, dear colleague, who is an expert, who is a mental health professional, very capable, very competent to be able to answer some of the nagging and the curious questions that we have about mental health issues, challenges, and the forthcoming holiday season. So, may I introduce Miss Jesica Sandoval. Let me just read something, or let me just give you a piece of herself. Jesica Sandoval has been employed with ADAP since 2014. Jessica started as a part time community mental health therapist, transitioned to a full time in 2018, and became supervisor head of mental health services in 2019. And we're so proud of it. Jessica continues to provide mental health services as a community therapist as well. Jessica is certified in evidence-based practices, which include positive parenting program, interpersonal psychotherapy, and trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy. Jessica has worked with both low and high risk clients, ages ranging from 3 years old to 18 years old. Most common diagnosis includes ADHD, persistent depression disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD, and adjustment disorder. Jessica is a dog mommy, and this is the human interest to a 6-year-old bundle of fat joy. Jessica loves to read, dance in cars. Oh my God, how cool it can be, and do absolutely nothing from time to time. I think that's cool, Jessica. Welcome, Jessica, and thank you. Thank you for being with us in this podcast, pre holiday podcast. Okay, we have prepared, I would say, not really formal questions, but more of curious questions. So, if I may start, by the way, the other Jessica Abaya, and myself will be co-moderators. Okay. First question: how real is what we call holiday stress? Can you identify some of these stressors?
Yeah, most definitely. It is very real. I mean, now with COVID-19, it probably has a new definition of real. But
Mm,
even before COVID-19, it was already real because um, holiday stress can literally cause anxiety and depression to different depths. A lot of people look forward to festivities with friends and families. And the problem with that is a lot of us will focus on event planning, um, parties, family reunions, buying presents, probably even focus on getting the perfect present, having the perfect food, your invite list, and the financial burden of November through December pretty much happening together. And at the same time, trying to close the end of the year by splurging a bunch of money and trying to keep it together. Um, a lot of the stressors pretty much just involve around that holiday itself, whether it be that you have family and places to go and people to talk to, or being lonely. That's already a stressor within itself within this type of a season. Um, one of the most common, the common, not one, some of the most common are actually the anxiety, the major depression that comes with the whole concept of major depression with a seasonal pattern, which is an actual disorder.
oh,
Because there are different, especially when it comes to depression, there people can literally have different, they can fluctuate from being stable to being in a bit of a crisis depending on different seasons. Let's put it like that. And the holiday is definitely one that can hike it up for a lot of people.
mm, that is interesting. That is so interesting. And so, um, let me just ask you. I mean, of course, you have mentioned it a while ago. Can you again reiterate, or what are these mental health challenges that occur during the holiday season?
Well, um, for people that already do have present mental health challenges, it comes a lot with um, one, they become so caught up within the seasonal, the whole holiday thing that even a lot of them be they begin to decrease attending therapy sessions. Probably even feeling like, well, it's the holidays. Maybe we can just skip this week or next week. It's not such a big deal. Besides, I'm busy and time will go by and I can manage this, which is actually it's more recommended for you to continue with your regular therapy sessions if you were already receiving them before the holiday season, because you don't realize, well, a lot of people do not realize that just because they're keeping their mind busy, it doesn't mean that
Mm,
they're not spiraling out of control. They're just not noticing or recognizing that their usual symptoms are changing, are
mhm,
transitioning into something else.
mm,
The anxiety, well, some people don't usually recognize that they're anxious because they're probably feeling like they're just functioning with what's going on. But the anxiety begins to build up, and then that's when a lot of people who probably don't already even have mental health problems will try to rely on finding ways to relax, which around the holidays usually come in forms of alcohol, especially, or
mm,
maybe not substances for everybody, but people will be with, I mean, the alcohol is pretty much everywhere. Holiday parties and the family parties, company parties. So, the mental health issues can get very exaggerated uh, by by pretty much the busyness of having high and extreme pressures throughout those 2 months. And so, if you didn't already start with the mental health issue, it doesn't mean you won't probably develop one. You can literally develop one for a seasonal pattern type of style, and then, probably get over it. But definitely, everybody, at least now, even with the COVID, I think that the different problem now is, okay, you're not going to be event planning, hopefully not. Maybe some people are still doing it, but the bigger problem is having so much time to sit there and probably become anxious about wanting to get out, not being able to do what you did last year and the years before, staying, not being able to be next to your loved ones or peers and friends and all of that stuff. Now you're, a lot of people will feel lonely even when they're really not literally lonely, but they start to feel isolated. And then with that isolation comes that depression. I would also have to say that, at least for California, where we do have daylight savings, it gets darker a lot earlier. And well, the darker it gets, the sadder people become. It is a known fact that we respond better to light. That's why nature and walking out in the sun are such positive things to do. Um, that's why everybody loves seeing things like a bunch of lights on a house. Our biological response is a positive response to things like that. So, having to deal with 5 o'clock darkness kind of cuts your motivation for for a lot of people. Not being able to go on their runs like they usually do, or go to the gym, and it just starts to pretty much shut them down because of the whole time change.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Like day and night,
Hmm.
can really affect
Yes.
and can trigger depression, feelings of depression. Jessica, I'd like to ask a curious question. You mentioned that people are not aware. I mean, that they may have mental health issues,
Hmm.
and the season can actually, I mean, there is, you, am I correct in hearing that there is such a thing as a seasonal depression?
Yeah. It's a major depressive disorder with a seasonal pattern. So it'll literally be that, the people tend to get triggered by a seasonal pattern. It's almost like, if I had to picture it in my mind, is just knowing that that seasonal time is going to come when everybody else is so happy, everybody else has all these places to go, or even people to spend time with. A lot of people will literally be anxious about that time coming around the corner because they might not have that same those same options to really spend their holidays with, or because the holidays bring up traumatic events, or somebody had a loved one that passed away during the holiday, and the holiday can never be the same again for a lot of people. And like I said, for us Californians, hey, it gets dark during the holidays. I'm going to
Oh,
get lazier. I'm going to get sadder. I'm not going to do much. My usual positive coping mechanisms are not going to work for me no more because I don't feel like going walking when it's dark. And I usually walk after work, and that's already when it's dark. So it's this anxiety when it's a seasonal pattern. It's like, it's just this anxiety about this certain time of the year coming up.
oh, okay. And Jessica, another question is that, is everybody, I mean, hearing what you're saying, is everybody vulnerable to depression at this time of the year?
I think I think plenty of people can be vulnerable to depression in general, especially now with our circumstances and this pandemic. I think, if anything, right now, everybody is vulnerable for sure.
Mm,
Everybody.
everybody.
It's,
So Jessica, from a prevention perspective, so how should people address that? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, the number one thing would be to not rely on any type of drugs or alcohol. Don't try to, people not try to, don't try to sit there and calm yourself down by using something external that can become addictive. Mindfulness, that's always the way to go, and making realistic goals, honestly. Um, a lot of people will sit there and make big goals that are like, okay, kind of like when people go, okay, I need to lose weight, so I'm gonna sign up to the gym tomorrow. Realistically, you only feel that excited for that moment and the moment you sign the papers, and then maybe not even step another foot in that gym. So if you're gonna set goals, you need to do something that gradually increases into that goal. So it can become more of a routine that has a gradual pattern, and you can just not even notice that you make it there rather than feeling the pressure of I gotta go there.
yeah. And can you explain further mindfulness so much so that people can use it? You know?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of, I mean, mindfulness can be different for a lot of people. um Omar from from the prevention specialist, he's one of the people that relies a lot um on what I'm sorry, on yoga. He
Uh-huh.
likes to do a lot of yoga. He does a lot of breathing exercises. um Tea time, that's like a very relaxing moment for him even. uh, I personally would say reading things that you could do by yourself is a big thing for being mindful. I mean, you don't always have to do it by yourself, but solitude is, if you can reach enjoying solitude, you can definitely get really far with that. Rather than feeling lonely and re, or having to rely on something or someone, and being able to self satisfy yourself is a big plus. And with that comes a lot of individual activities, whether it be exercising. Like I said, I'm a big time reader. Um, Picking a day to just do a facial on myself. Nobody likes to do a facial on themselves, but hey, I can kill some time where I'm just focusing on myself and I'm just figuring something out. There's so many things out there that people can do differently. Some people just like to sit and do nothing for a while and stare off into the ocean.
Hmm. So it's really more of solitude,
Yes,
understanding solitude, the
yeah,
me time, you know,
yes,
me time instead of feeling lonely that, you know, you're alone. So it's
exactly.
enjoying solitude. So, Jessica, do you have questions, curious questions?
Yes, I just enjoyed this topic. It's very relatable, especially holiday stress around this time. We know that some of the holidays are so centered around being with family, being with people, being with others. My question for you is, we're experiencing, pandemic this whole year. And it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. In fact, cases seem to be increasing by the day. I would like to hear one self-care tip you could recommend for someone that will be having to experience the holidays coming up virtually. That's a FaceTime call on Zoom. We're going to have to experience it differently. What is one piece of advice you can give to them?
One, if you really think that you are going to be facing a very difficult time, prepare for it by relying on social support or obtaining some professional help to be there. Even if you don't think this is something that you need at this moment or even after the season passes, but you think you're not going to be able to cope, it's preparation. Recognize your own symptoms, recognize your behaviors, monitor yourself, and see if this is the way you are behaving is in the norm for who you are usually. It's becoming, once again, like I said, it's more about self-recognition. It's
Mhm.
once you recognize your, and you can identify, hey, this is not a regular behavior for me or a regular symptom for me. This is
Mhm.
different. Once you can recognize and identify, then you look for that solution.
Mhm. Mhm. So, as prevention specialist, Jessica, how do we package the message to the community, to people? How do we give a shout out? Look, self care, take care of it. Recognize.
Yes.
How do we? Can you recommend to us some steps?
Definitely. As I like to tell some people is, don't wait to practice positive coping mechanisms only till after something is happening.
Okay.
I always say that. I'm not saying that it's not useful to have a toolkit for when something is happening, but I think it's much more useful to prevent something from happening by literally, like I said, recognizing that you are susceptible or vulnerable to this happening to you, so that you can actually do more of a practice of maintaining yourself and already put that toolkit to use before a crisis occurs. You
Mm.
know, be more aware of your environment, be more aware that if you know you're going to become more emotional, stay away from alcohol or any type of substance abuse. Realize that you are not alone in this pandemic world right now that we're living in. You are not, it is not a negative thing to tell somebody, I'm feeling out of control, I'm feeling confused, I don't recognize myself, I'm scared. It's be more expressful, be verbal. One of the biggest things, social support. You have to literally express what you're feeling so that it can look real for you, in other words. But social support, um, communication, and solution focus. If there's this going on, then let's find a way to prevent that from happening or to pretty much manage it.
Yeah. Like bring out the message that during this time of the pandemic, a sign of love is to stay away from people.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true. Stay
Yeah.
away physically, but definitely don't close yourself up to thinking that there's no way you cannot get help. There's help everywhere. You have to rely on your communication, rely on your social support, rely on the fact that you're not the only one feeling the way that you feel.
Yeah. Oh, that's impactful, Jessica. Thank you so much. It's just like going through a session with you, a professional session. Yeah. And I think, Jessica, we have to play this podcast throughout the holiday season, right, Jessica?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is really a good professional advice, for our community, for the communities we work with, just to stay calm, to stay sane, and to stay healthy during
Yeah.
the holiday season.
Yes.
So, Jessica, do you still have questions? My partner, Jessica, my partner.
No, I agree. I love the energy of our conversation. It's very real to experience holiday stress. Although I'm a professional also in prevention, but it's a real thing, and I agree. Playing this podcast all month long is a nice, gentle reminder on what tips to have so that we can prevent it from escalating to a real life, emergency, medical health emergency, or even a crisis. So, thank you for this information. It's very helpful.
Yeah, so down to earth and so grassroots oriented. So, Jessica, if I may again ask you questions, what resources? What resources? Something like a first aid kit. you know, a first aid kit for mental health in this, in terms of what resources are out there readily available and accessible, that can enable people to understand more their themselves, especially
Mhm.
just during this time of the year.
Um, Well, one if somebody that relies to do a lot of their research online, I know that one of the places that I like to look at, even for my own type of follow up research, would be the National Alliance on Mental Health Illness.
Yeah.
This is a website that I actually like to get a lot of information for. Um, I got some of this information that I spoke on today from this website. Uh, all a Like I said, the other resources, reach out. Social support is one of your biggest resources, because if you don't know how to do somebody around you can pretty much direct you in the right direction. um, Within our agencies, obviously, people can look up mental health awareness, locations, self-help groups, focus groups. Just going on the LADMH website, and you pop in your zip code, and you can literally locate um, different agencies, whether you need it for mental health services or something else for both adults and children. There's so much stuff out there, and it can all be through even our, what is it, our Facebook page, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
um we there's a lot out there. Definitely, it's accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's right out there, and then just and we can also help them reach out, like
Yes,
community prevention staff working with
exactly.
specific communities. We can actually guide the communities through to these resources, right?
That definitely. There's a lot of people that do. I mean, fortunately, that spend a lot of time doing outreach in these kind of situations. I sometimes have mothers from Girl Scouts reaching out to get some information on resources that they can share with their Girl Scouts and things like that. So there's always somebody, thankfully, looking out for somebody else so that they can pretty much spread information even to younger people. um, Maybe the younger population don't always focus on that, but definitely this information is readily available to them most of the time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jessica. And at this point in time, as a mental health professional, as an expert, why don't you give your holiday greetings to our communities as a mental health professional?
The holiday, as in like say Merry
Something.
Christmas, like, like Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody. um, just live your life like if it's a normal life. Make your room your happy place. I make my car my happy place. You don't have to be among everybody else to be happy. You just need to embrace what you can do with what you have. Adapt, adjust.
Oh my God, beautiful, powerful statement. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you. Thank you for this podcast. It's so meaningful, so significant, and so helpful to the communities. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Jessica,
guys.
and happy holidays. we'll we'll definitely have more sessions such as this. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. And Jessica, would you like to take
Wow.
off from here? Yeah.
Thank you for that greeting, and thank you for the information shared to us today. It was well received, and this podcast will continue to play all month long December. So thank you. And a gentle reminder, if you're tuning in, this is our Hot Topic Tuesday podcast special on drug use, mental health, and the holidays. We just spoke to Miss Jessica Sandoval. She gave us great tips on mental health and great resources. Gentle reminder, we do have another Hot Topic Tuesday, and that will be on December 15th. And that will be law enforcement in prevention, law enforcement as a partner in prevention. And so we will hear from the communities of Carson and Gardena and our neighboring cities. So please join in, tune in. That's going to be live. And then with this, I want to say thank you to everyone that watched our podcast and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you.